Hi there, I'm Lisa Campion, and this is the Miracle of Healing on Empower Radio, where conscious people come together to explore the world of healing and heal the planet, one person at a time. We have such an incredible guest today who has an unbelievably beautiful story. I have to say that I read her book and cried through most of it, so bring your hankies out for this one. So today we have Terri Ann Russell, who wrote this beautiful book called From Death to Life, The Incredible True Story of Anthony Joseph. And Anthony Joseph, or Ant, was Terri Ann's beloved son who died just about this time last year from an unexpected medical complication. And even though he left his earthly body, he's been returning to Terri Ann from the spirit world with a lot of information, a lot of acknowledgement about what it's like over there, about their continuing of their connection, and has really showed up for Terri Ann to help her manage her own grieving. And since Terri Ann is already an incredible natural born light worker, an intuitive, a psychic, a medium, she's been really able to connect with him in such a powerful way. So thank you so much for coming on the show today, Terri Ann.
Thank you for having me, Lisa. It's really truly an honor to be here and to share Anthony's words with everybody. It was just like you said, he left and he came back so quickly. It's just been an amazing journey thus far. It really is a true miracle of healing for me, I have to say.
I think it's the hardest loss. I'm a mom. I have 3 kids, 2 sons. One of my sons went into the Marine Corps and came out again, but I have always had this fear of my children dying. And I think that's like a thing that a lot of mothers have, you know? And it feels to me like the thing you can't recover from, like the one thing that I'm not sure I could recover from. So I don't know. I just, first of all, like, wow, you know, I'm sorry you had to go through that. And I also know by reading your book that it's been an incredible gift in some ways, which is a weird thing to say about the loss of a child, but that's really how you're presenting it in your book. And reading your book actually helped me feel like, wow, if I ever had to go through that, maybe I could too. Mm-hmm. So thank you for that, because it actually sort of eased up this like long running sort of fear that I've had in my whole life.
Yeah, it's like that background programming running, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that's the one thing I couldn't survive. And to hear your story of how you survived it, I found really comforting, really inspiring, really beautiful. And I did cry buckets the whole time. So can you share a little bit about for people that are just tuning into your story about what happened?
Yeah, well, my journey really began long ago. I have a sick child. My daughter was born 10 years ago with an illness similar to what Anthony passed with. And she had bled internally for 3 years. And I turned to energy healing to help heal her because we were to every specialist, nobody could help her. So through that experience, I began learning Reiki and energy healing. And she's 4 years hospital free now with no blood transfusions.
Wow.
So my journey began long ago, preparing me. I look at that experience almost as if it was a predecessor to this shattering that was going to occur later, because through her experience, and I'm getting chills telling you, I always felt like God would not take her from me. I felt like she was a gift. I had her at 40. I had my boys at 20. So I felt like she was a gift and that she was here for a reason. Mm-hmm. And then when Anthony passed, he was 27. It was very sudden. We had just been away for a week in Vegas together. We had just seen him a few days before, and he was perfectly healthy. So for me, as his human mother, I could not conceptualize that 1 minute we're here in this physical, and now we're not.
Right.
So he wanted to come right in, and I sort of shut that all down right away. Being a psychic and intuitive, I was like totally, I could not comprehend what was happening, first of all. People say to me, well, you're so lucky you could connect with him. But at that time, I didn't want to connect with him. If I was connecting with him, that meant he was dead. And right. I was not believing that he was dead at that moment. Yeah. So it was a very difficult transition for me to sort of move from understanding my human and my spiritual journeys, and I'm still, we're just a year in July 16th will be a year. I'm still at a point where they're not fully melded together yet.
I don't know how they can be. It's like maybe like when we're enlightened, in our enlightenment lifetime, we have that ability to like have our personal self sort of existing on this in the same level as our soul self, but you're still a human mama,
Yes.
who lost a child and a beloved child. So part of, I think, the story that's so interesting between you is that you have this very unusually close connection with your son.
Yeah, it's he's taught me so much in the short time that he's been gone. I didn't really understand about I knew about soul contracts and all of that, and he was very adamant in the beginning that he wanted me to know this was not a mistake, it wasn't malpractice. It was in his contract for him to leave at this time. And I do past life regression, so I understand contracts, but when this is your child, you don't want to understand this contract. I was very angry for a long time that I would
Right.
have agreed to such a contract.
Right. I get it.
Hmm.
Yeah. So contracts are like agreements that we make with people, with other souls, our soulmates up there in
Hmm.
soul world before we get here, that we're going to have a certain set of experiences with them, and that they have like a beginning and an end. You talk about sort of a, an expiration date on the contract, um, and that's what happened here.
Yeah, he completed his contract in his lifetime, in this lifetime, and it's because he was an old soul. If you've heard the term old soul, a lot of people say children, like when you look in their eyes, you can see this depth of meaning that really, they just mesmerize you with their eyes. And he had that when he was a child. Very old soul. He had this knowing about people, just knowing what people needed. He was one of those people that had this gift or this ability to intuitively know what you needed and give that to you fully.
Hmm.
But he couldn't always do that for himself.
Yeah, I don't know if we can
Hmm.
always, because again, that human-y part of us gets, we have to be in our human life too. So you went through this, of course, massive grief stage that you talk a lot about, sort of the darkness, and being kind of in the battle with the forces of darkness, where he was helping you. That was sort of a transition in the heavy part of your grief, um, before you were really able to pass through that and talk to him on a more regular basis. And I was so curious about that. I was wondering if you could talk a little more about what that was like.
Intuitively, I knew right away that was not me speaking. I love my son tremendously. I did not want to be here, but, having those thoughts about killing yourself, and that wasn't me speaking to me, if that makes sense.
Mm,
I could feel, because I'm very intuitive and I'm very empathic, I feel a lot in my body. So I could feel the darkness that would come in and surround me. It's so hard to put into words that, when you're a lower level energy being, we're very light, so we're very high frequency. But lower level energy beings have a much different feeling when they come in.
mm,
So I felt immediately that that was dark energy, and that was not me talking. And I knew I needed help, so I reached out to my soul sisters who were, oh my gosh, they were part of this beautiful journey that we all made together as well. Um, he did not want me to leave. He told me under no circumstances was I to follow him.
mm,
And as I would be screaming and crying in such a deep, painful state, like I could feel it in my body. I felt like someone ripped out my heart.
mm,
Um, he would come into my body, and I would be filled with this peace and this love, and the crying would stop. And he would tell me, Mom, you have to do this. He would give me the direction and the guidance where I needed to go, the healers that I needed to see as well. I couldn't do it alone. There was no way I was going to do it alone.
yeah, no way. No way. It sounds like you were right at your edge, and who wouldn't be? I mean, that's such an intense thing. And once you got through that phase, you were really able to connect with him, like channel him in a way, and on a pretty daily basis, it sounds like. What was that like?
It's still difficult when he comes in and we meet. Sometimes I go to his world and I meet him. It's still difficult. I still cry. I still grieve. This is my child, will always be my child in this lifetime. So in the beginning, I'm usually crying, and at the end, I'm usually crying because, as a human, I understand he's happy and he's doing his soul work now and where he is, and he shares all of that with me. But as the human aspect of it, he's still not here in the physical. Loss
Right.
is loss. There's nothing that's going to change that. I'm so grateful that I can connect with him as much as I would like to. I mean, he reminds me too to share with everybody that everybody has this ability to connect. We all have it within us. We've all gotten, goosebumps, or we felt something, someone was watching us. So we all have this ability to connect, and that's part of his message in this book, is sharing that we all have that ability.
I have one of my students right now in my psychic development class was talking to me just today about how she hasn't been able to connect, and how she's been to like a million different psychics. They seem like they can't connect with her loved ones and the very close loved ones, a few of them that have passed away. What would you say? Like, how could somebody like that, who can't seem to bridge that, or even find a psychic who can help? What do you think is going on with that?
A lot of times they do have a block. We have blockages from other lives too that prohibit us from. But the more work we do, the more we clear and release. I do a lot of clearing and releasing work with clients. We've got to clear and release that. Prime example is my parents. My parents are 71 and they're still here. So for them, they're like, well, why doesn't he come and see me? And why can't I connect with him like you connect with him? And it's because they're so deep in that grief, they haven't worked through that process yet.
Right.
I think it is possible, though. If you're willing and your higher self thinks it's for your highest and best, I believe that it will happen.
Right. Yeah, that's what I think too. What kind of things have you heard from him? Like, what is it like over there? What does he say? What are the messages that he would like to share?
It's beautiful. I've experienced his growth as well. So as I've been shifting and changing, and I talk about some expansion in the book, he's been shifting as changing as well. So I had not been aware of this previous to him leaving. I knew about the levels of spirit world, but I didn't know how they actually shift and change through those levels, if that makes sense. So he would share with me in the beginning. He came in always wearing white, and he had this white aura around him. As he progressed and he grew, his energy grew out. I can see white and gold around him. And he would share with me, how he's gotten to those places and how the work that we're doing together has shifted and changed him as well.
Wow. So there's like a continuing evolution of growth that happens when we're over there. It's really all about growing and healing, isn't it? Whether we're here or whether we're there, we're kind of still on the same journey.
Yes, absolutely. I was surprised, I guess, that they'd still have the need for growing and healing, but he tells me it's totally up to him if he wants to do it. Again, that free will. He doesn't have to do it, but he wants to do it. And I'm so glad that he shared with me what's going on for him, because it gives me solace to know that he is happy and he is working with others and he's fulfilling his life's purpose while he's in between lives.
That's so cool. And you talk a little bit about having evidence too, like having some physical evidence of his connection with you. Can you share a little bit about that?
So he doesn't only communicate with me. He's communicated with people that I went to high school with. He'll come through in a dream, or he leaves me hearts. He'll leave hearts for people to then show to me. And it's really funny because these people are not really spiritually open. I had a girl from high school contact me and share with me an experience she had about a dream where he contacted her, and he was in her old house and he showed her a heart-shaped jewelry box, and she said, what is the meaning of this? What is he trying to say? And I said to her that my daughter had a heart-shaped jewelry box with a necklace in it. And so he's showing her that he does exist. He can communicate with anybody that's open to communication. An EVP, have you heard of EVPs?
Yeah. I think people who watch paranormal TV, ghost hunting TV shows, would be familiar with that, but that's like a voice recorder that you ask a question and you roll the recorder, a digital recorder these days, and it picks up things that can't be heard by our physical ears.
Yeah, and so he can communicate through sound. Not every spirit can communicate every way either, is what he taught me. Um, they have their own levels where they are learning to play with energy. He taught me in the beginning that he was learning to play with all this energy and how it worked and how he can actually move things and do things like that. So an EVP we do have of him. I connected with somebody that does EVPs because I don't do them. And
Right.
it was for my parents to be able to hear him, hear this physical evidence that he is here, Ma. He's listening. He wants to connect with you. And I tell my clients that too. Even if you can't hear them, they can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, then and like maybe talking out loud to them or, having a conversation with them, even though you may not be able to hear what their response is, they absolutely can hear what you're saying to them. And if
Yes,
you wanted
absolutely.
to maybe advise people on how they might be able to expand their ability to talk to their loved ones, what are some things that we can do that anyone can do?
Well, first is learning all you can about the spirit world, watching and listening to like near death experiences, reading all the books that you can. And then learning about your own clairs, your own intuitive abilities. Okay, we all have intuitive abilities. We've been indoctrinated to believe that they don't exist or we can't access them, or, I could go
Right.
into a whole nother show about poisoning and chemicals and all that. But we all have this ability, this innate ability within us to communicate, whether it's telepathically, whether it's through feeling. A lot of my clients are very empathic, so I focus with them on opening that and how to uh, discern whether you're, taking on others' energy or it's your energy. So, and the more work you do healing, healing is my first love. It really saved my daughter's life.
Mhm.
So the more healing that you can do, the more you can go out and heal the rest of the world together. Because, when we heal within, our light shines differently to others, and we're
Yeah.
able to communicate and show others that there is this path through healing.
Do you feel like that part of your contract with Anthony was that he would leave and that would sort of create this a huge leap in your spiritual evolution that you wouldn't maybe have had? Because who would choose that? Like, no one would choose this like consciously, that kind of to experience that. Our personal selves would never pick that, but your soul self, the two of you guys got together and decided that that would be beneficial for you, and then that you were going to bring the wisdom that you made from that spiritual quantum leap. It was like a huge leap to other people, and that's like a very consistent message that he's telling you over and over again, and why it's not okay for you to suicide, or why you've got to stick around, or why you've got to do the work so that you can take the fruit of that experience and give it to other people.
Yeah, it's like the butterfly effect. If I'm not here
Yeah.
doing my work, I can't help to heal, A, B, and C, or I can't help to teach these students that are going to then come forward and do their work. It's all
Mm.
about, sharing my experiences with what I've gone through now and teaching others so that they then can go and teach other people as well. And these codes he keeps talking about, he talks about these DNA and these light codes, and he brought in a world-renowned physicist, and this totally blew my mind. I was not expecting it at all. He wanted me to connect with this Dr. Brenner.
Mm.
So after we were done meeting, I go and I look up Dr. Brenner. Well, Dr. Brenner passed in April of 2019, and he was a world-renowned physicist working with DNA.
Wow.
And so our future now is to go into working with Dr. Brenner together, and we're going to be able to manipulate our DNA.
Yeah,
We're going to be able to heal.
a lot of people feel like that's sort of what's up right now with the shift that we're in, the ascension and all, the change in the sun and the change in our environment, and that those light codes come in and activate our DNA or evolve our DNA in a way that helps us as a species evolve. That's what I've heard about it. Is that the kind of thing that you're talking about?
Yes.
Hmm.
but actually working the DNA, almost like a psychic surgeon. You can work the DNA and change the crystalline, change from the DNA to crystalline. It'll like eradicate disease and all of that eventually. And, it probably won't be in my lifetime. It'll be much long after that. But, this is just a process of unlocking these codes as we go forward.
Right. So interesting. It's been a I don't know, the third time I've talked about that today, so it must be really up today. But I was also super interested in what you said about the fact that you think that you guys are twin flames, and I'm wondering if you can explain a little bit about what a twin flame is.
I still don't know much about the twin flame. I have not researched much about it. What I do know, my ear is just ringing. 1 second. So twin flames, they are, from my understanding, one soul that breaks into two then. And then so you can incarnate as two different beings in this lifetime.
The same time. So there's like two aspects of your soul on the planet at the same time. Do you think this is common or kind of a rare thing?
Like I said, I've not heard much about twin flames, so I'm assuming it's pretty rare.
I think it's pretty rare. So I've been working as a psychic since I was 19, like that was a long time ago. And a lot of people come in and ask me about it because it's kind of a hot topic now. Like this, everybody seems to be looking for their twin flame. And I've seen it like very rare, like not that, I don't know if everyone has, one. I would love to know. That's why I'm asking, because I'm like trying to figure it out myself. And there's some people that say, no, everyone has one. In my experience, I see very few.
I don't think that everyone has one from what I've seen. Like I said, I don't have much experience with the twin flame, but it would make sense because, the fact that when I'm down here doing my work and I'm expanding, he's also expanding, doing his work. One cannot go without the other.
Right.
So even though he's not on this plane, he's still able to expand with that connection. Who knows? We'll find out more as we go along too.
Yes, we will. I hope you fill us in as you find out more about it. So Terri Ann, how can people find out more about your beautiful book? How can they get it? And how can they reach you if they want to know more about you?
Well, it's on Amazon. It's also on Audible, I believe now. Lisa Hagen put it on Audible. You can reach me at sassysoulhealing.com or Sedona Soul Sisters, where I work, in Sedona.com. Any of those, I'm readily available. I'm on Facebook as well. So.
Right, and if you want to find her book, it's called From Death to Life, The Incredible True Story of Anthony Joseph. Definitely check out her website, and if you guys are in Sedona and you want to work with Terri Ann, I'm going to look you up when I go there and hang out with you and maybe get some healing from you.
I would love that.
Get some healing from you, because I was scoping out your work on your website, and it looks like you do some really beautiful energy work with people. So I would really encourage everyone to run right out and get this book. It was truly a beautiful book. And I read a lot of these books and they're all great. And yours, I was like, oh my God, it was really so moving to me. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing and on the planet. I just think you're really brave, that you took on this whole journey to help you, to help him, and to help all of us. So thank you for that.
And I didn't want to.
No, why would you want to? I mean, that's what I mean. Like, it took incredible.
I fought with him for a while on doing this, and it was probably about 4 or 5 months in, and he'd be like, "Get up and write the book, Mom," and I'm like, "Oh my God."
Well, thank you so much, Terri Ann, for being with us today, and thank all of you guys for watching, for listening. If you want to find me, you can find me at lisacampion.com. Come by and visit. And thank you again for being with us today on the Miracle of Healing, where we are healing the planet one person at a time right here on Empower Radio.